Exactly.
But Bill, we've been hearing these stories. I mean, here's what I don't get. This group Acorn is behind the vast majority of these complaints we're seeing in several states, and in particular in Ohio. They go out there, we're told, there's a dispute about whether they get paid by quotas, but we're told by one employee reportedly that they're told they have to get at least 20 names per hour on the shift, and if they don't, then they don't get paid or they're in danger of getting fired. Why do we still accept any balloting or registration forms from Acorn? Why isn't there some federal crackdown on Acorn? What can be done about this group?
Well, as you mentioned in the intro, the FBI is investigating an Acorn in a number of states. You've got Nevada, where somebody brought in registrations of people. They used the names of the Dallas Cowboys football team. And the other thing is, this isn't just some left-wing group that's rounding up voter registration names. This is a group that Barack Obama himself used to work for. He was the executive director of Acorn's voter registration arm, entity called Project Vote, in 1992. And the following year, Barack Obama served as an attorney for Acorn, suing the state of Illinois to implement its motor voter law, which the governor said would result in voter fraud. So this group has a vested interest in seeing Barack Obama elected president, and it's not even a close call.
Oh, yeah, there's no question that Acorn leans left, and no surprise that they would support Barack Obama. But I guess now he says he has nothing to do with the group. It's the past associations. Bill, interesting. Thanks for blowing the lid off of that Morris thing. I bet we're going to see more of that in this election. And just so our voters know, our viewers know, before we move on, they are doing investigations. People are being called to testify. There was one guy who said he was subpoenaed by the Cuyahoga County Board of Elections, who said he registered 10 to 15 times, being pressured by this group. Another woman who said you can tell them you're registered as many times as you want. They do not care. They simply want to get your name down, and then these folks can go in as many times as they want on Election Day and vote as that person. That's the problem.
Yesterday, our big story was in Nevada. Today's in Ohio, and the same story. Now, Bill Salmon was talking about Cuyahoga County in Cleveland. You're welcome, Bill. Northern part of Ohio. Now to the southern part of the state, southwest corner, Hamilton County, the city of Cincinnati. Radio host Bill Cunningham from 700 WLW is on the line now. Willie, good morning to you.
Bill Hammer, how are you?
I'm doing just fine. What are you hearing in Hamilton County about this?
Well, Bill, except for the financial crisis, which, of course, has struck Ohio as well as every other state, this was a huge story in the past week because of a specialized ruling by the new Democratic Ohio Secretary of State. You were able to register and vote on the same date at the same time. So there were many vans and buses that would every day show up at the University of Cincinnati, Xavier. They went to the unemployment office on Central Parkway. They picked up individuals from the homeless shelter, and they had hordes of individuals. The final tally was about 2,000 to 3,000 additional individuals of spurious identities would show up and vote and register at the same point at the same day. In fact, yesterday our newsroom had a story that across the state there were 600,000 new registered voters in this cycle. When Ohio lost population, 600,000 more people have registered, and investigations are underway in most of the urban counties. But, of course, the boards of election are not set up to investigate. So Ohio, which is losing population, has 600,000 new registrants.
Well, we are not led to believe that counties like Hamilton, where Cincinnati is, or Franklin, where Columbus is, or Cuyahoga, where Cleveland is, that they will go Republican. In all likelihood, they'll go Democrat and pretty heavily favored so. But when a race is decided, like it was in 2004, by 118,000 votes, it can make a difference. But you're reporting numbers now that are much higher than what Karl Rove was reporting a week ago. He was suggesting in these three main counties that only a couple hundred people applied for this same-day, same-vote registration. You're saying it's in the thousands now. Is that right?
Correct, because the voting continued Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Monday was the last day to register and vote on the same day. And the Board of Election and on Broadway Avenue in downtown Cincinnati on Monday was packed with the line out the door. We may be talking about across the state no more than 15 to 20,000 registrants and voters, but that does not take into account the Acorn efforts previous to this past week, where 600,000 new people total have been registered and are allegedly going to vote. I'll give you one other example. Hamilton County in the southwest corner has a population of about 800,000. There's 475,000 registered voters in Hamilton County, but 100,000 are going to vote absentee. 100,000, almost 20% or so, will vote absentee. And those are registrations that Acorn worked on in the spring and the summer and the early fall. That doesn't take into account that specialized ruling by the Secretary of State. But when you talk about 600,000 more registered voters in Ohio, that is a huge number.
It tells me the Board of Elections is going to be very busy from here until Election Day and maybe past that. Hey, Billy, I got to run, okay?
Thank you. Thank you, brother.
We'll have you back on. Bill Cunningham, 700 WLW back in Cincinnati. Megan?
Well, so who exactly is this group, Acorn? And where does it get its money? Just the name is a mouthful. It stands for Association of Community Organizations for Reform Now. Our very own Shannon Bream has been investigating this. She's live in D.C. with a closer look. Hi, Shannon. All right, so exactly who is Acorn?
Well, Megan, it's interesting because if you ask them, they say they don't get government money. In fact, they describe themselves as a nonprofit, nonpartisan social justice organization. It says, you know, in the interest of staying neutral, we don't take government money. But the truth is they oversee a lot of different groups. The Consumer Rights League testified, the head of the league testified on Capitol Hill not long ago. They could be controlling as many as 150 different groups. And on their face, a lot of them are going to look like they're positive organizations. They help with housing counseling, with mortgages. They're anti-poverty groups. So you may not see a line in the federal budget that says X amount for Acorn, but it is very likely a lot of these other entities are taking in a lot of taxpayer money. In fact, it's suggested it's in the hundreds of millions of dollars. And if Acorn is sort of the puppet master and controlling the strings on many of these groups, they may not technically be getting the money in their pocket, but they certainly have control over a lot of it. Just one example we can tell you, though, that in Philadelphia, the Acorn Housing Corporation got more than $1.6 million there as a HUD-approved counseling group, and there are many more examples like that, Megan.
You know, a lot of our viewers, they write to us saying, how can this be that taxpayer dollars go maybe not directly to Acorn, but the groups that it controls, because it obviously leans left. It obviously is out there to help Democrats. A lot of the taxpayers don't happen to be Democrats, and they don't want their tax dollars going to help a Democrat get elected. What's the answer to that? How can this be?
Well, Megan, like I said, a lot of these groups look very innocuous, or they look like they're actually going to be a very positive thing on their face. So when they're getting money and all the tentacles aren't yet connected that lead them back to Acorn, they look like they've got a positive and legitimate need for this money.
So what does that mean? The lawmakers who approve the money are not doing their job of investigating exactly where it's going?
Well, I can tell you a lot of them are now waking up on Capitol Hill, especially some of the staunch conservatives. This came out during that whole rescue package. As we were covering the bailout coming together and falling apart and coming together on Capitol Hill, there was this constant fight over whether Acorn funding was going to be in the package or not, what it was going to be termed, how we were going to find it, because there isn't that line that says this money goes to Acorn, because it doesn't work that way, obviously. But now a number of lawmakers have come forward. Senator John Ensign, John Thune out of South Dakota, a number of them have signed on to a letter demanding that money that could go to Acorn in this new package be suspended because of all the things that are going on with Acorn, saying we don't want hundreds of millions of dollars of our constituents' money going there. We want it suspended until things are ironed out. So some of it did get into the package, but now they're asking that it be stopped before it get to Acorn.
Yeah, and you mentioned John Thune. I should tell our viewers he will be a guest in this program in our 10 o'clock hour with an update on exactly what the status of that is. In the meantime, Shannon Bream, nice job. Thanks so much.